What's going on, guys? It's Aiden with Over James Toyota today again, and I'm going to be featuring the differences between a 2025 Toyota Camry versus an outgoing 2026 model Camry. Now, both of these being a hybrid, we're going to see the differences styling-wise, powertrain-wise, and seeing which one works better for you and your family. Please do not forget to hit like and subscribe so you do not miss any more of our future Toyota-related content, and let's get into this video. So talking about a couple differences, obviously one being a 2016 versus a 2025, 9 years of differences, and obviously this being 2 generations behind the 2025, there's going to be some very significant changes. So looking at the front end of a 2016 Camry, now this is an XLE model. One thing to note, even just looking at the hood, for example, it's way more rounded versus the new 2025. That's definitely more of an aggressive look and something that I actually personally like over this model in particular. Now, looking down below as well, you get the old school Toyota emblem that has the blue in it that does obviously tell you that you are in a hybrid. Now, that's no really longer thing anymore. In some of our vehicles, we still offer that, but most of them, we do not do that anymore. Looking onto the front headlights, them being halogen bulbs versus LEDs onto a 2025, obviously that is a huge difference in itself. You look at the fog lights, you look at the front grille, it definitely shows a bit more of a dated look versus the new 2025. And then taking a look onto the 2025, you have the new Prius styled headlights that obviously come to the bottom of the hood. You have the new front grille design, which is brand new for Toyota, and I think they have done a very, very good job to emphasize the front end of the Camry. I think the front end design with the grille, the actual, functional air vents on the side, the front aggressive splitter on both corners of the bumper, headlights, and the hood has definitely given the new Camry a much more aggressive and a meaner look than the outgoing models. Taking a look onto the wheels of the outgoing Camry versus the new Camry, on the XLE package, you're getting 17-inch alloys, which are going to be all silver, which don't look bad. However, I am definitely someone who is in favor of kind of a two-tone or an all-black wheel, which the new 2025 Camry has, and it also is a 19-inch tire. Not only does the tires obviously look a bit better onto the 2025s, but I also think the body lines in the 25 is a bit different as well. You will notice onto the 2016, there is no rocker panel on the side here. There's no space in the vehicle that actually comes out more towards other vehicles on the road versus the 2025, which does do that. I like the rocker panel. It sticks out a little bit, giving the side of the vehicle much more of an aggressive look versus the outgoing previous generation Camry. Now let's talk about rear ends for both the 2016 Camry and the 2025 Camry. I think that's the one similarity between the two is going to be the rear design of the light. So I would look on the 2016 to start. It kind of comes out a little bit into the middle, doesn't stretch all the way across like other vehicles could do. If you look at that light versus the new light, it's very, very similar. Obviously, it's a little bit of a backwards C. However, I think that they've just upgraded from the old halogen bulbs to the new LED design, which I'm a huge fan of. However, it does look very, very similar, this being the new Camry versus any previous Camrys. Now, if you're looking at trunk space, that's where things definitely get a little bit differently. If you look onto the rear of a 2025 Camry, have a couple of things into the rear of this vehicle, and the car goes definitely very, very further back into the trunk than the 2016 Camry. Very easy to operate as well. There's no differences there, but if you look onto the 2016, pop the trunk of this one, you will notice that the trunk does not go far back at all. Obviously, you could still throw some stuff in the vehicle, but however, is it going to be as practical as having more space onto a new one? I don't think so. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys have a previous generation Camry and if the storage obviously works better for you guys. All right, guys, let's take a closer look onto the 2016 Camry. Now, definitely sitting in this vehicle, you can feel its age. Obviously, it's a used vehicle that we currently have here on our lot. So obviously it's been driven a little bit, only has 47,000 kilometers on it. For this being a 2016, it actually is pretty low mileage. And you can also see the age, difference between an outgoing model and obviously a new generation. Now, this being a hybrid and the new 25 also only being built as a hybrid here for us, is that you can see it's using very, very old displays to actually display what the hybrid system is currently doing. The new multi-information display on the new 2025 Camrys obviously is a full digital tachometer. So there's no more needles, nothing like that. Onto the old 2016, obviously that was not something that Toyota was doing back then. So you still have the old school needles. It shows you a charge mode, an eco mode, and obviously your power mode, which kind of tells you if you're using the battery or if you're using the actual gas motor. Even this being an XLE model versus an XSE like that Camry is right now, they are both very, very similar package-wise. XLE, people say, is a little bit softer of a ride. It uses some different shocks and dampening springs to make the drive a little bit more comfortable and kind of more cloud-like, like a floaty feel to driving the vehicle. However, sitting inside of it, you really think, wow, Toyota has made a huge improvement and a lot of strides for new technology and new features for anyone inside of the vehicle. Now, you still do get some pretty great standard things even in a 2016. So obviously you still have heated seats, you have your eco modes, you have your EV modes, which is interesting as well. That's a small feature for most of our Toyota hybrids that we have. So you can basically operate the vehicle on strictly the hybrid motor for a small duration of time, which is great for bumper to bumper traffic. However, it's interesting to see that that's still a mode that they offer into 2024s and 2025s that was still around in 2016. Now, if you're looking at the layout of this vehicle sitting in here, it's definitely comfortable. I would definitely take the seats onto the new Camry. It has a bit more of a softer leather feel, and you definitely feel a bit more spacious in the Camry. They haven't changed the size of this vehicle a whole lot. However, sitting inside the vehicle, I don't know if it's just the displays are different, the way the layout on the dash is different for both the driver and the passenger, but even having, a smaller 7-inch screen. To think this is a fully loaded vehicle with a 7-inch screen, maybe back in the day, that was, a very big feat for a company to obviously achieve and put into a vehicle. But for now, people would look into this vehicle and see that screen thinking, wow, that is very, very dated. And I'm going to agree with them that it is. But the whole layout, once you're actually in an old one versus a new one, you will definitely see the differences. So if you maybe drive a 16, an 18, a 2012, whatever the case may be, definitely come by to check out the new 2025 Camry. See if you're looking for a change, if you're even in the market to change up for a vehicle, you can come drive our test drive unit, because it definitely is a very, very big difference into the new ones versus the old ones. All right, guys, now let's take a peek into the rear of a 2016 Camry. Now, the big thing I'm going to notice is that I actually have a lot of headspace into this vehicle versus the 2025. I actually really could not sit up upright in that vehicle without my head touching the roof. In this one, I could sit up more than fine, and I have quite a bit of space back here. So it actually, I think, is a bit more spacious. Maybe it's new body lines of a 2025, the more aggressive look. I know the trunk and the roof of it towards the rear seats into the trunk is a bit more sloped than this one. It's a bit more boxy of a sedan. But what I will say is that storage is still pretty decent. Obviously, you pull this down, a couple cup holders. You look into the actual door sills, you have 1, 2, 3 cup holders theoretically in both doors. So just in the rear seats of a Camry, you actually have 8 cup holders to use. Maybe a little overkill, but just something Toyota did to add a little bit more of a storage space back here. But a couple things definitely to note is that there's no spots to charge your phone. There's only just 2 vents back here. There's no climate control settings. Obviously, that's all set from the front end, and whoever's driving the vehicle or whoever's a passenger in the front can adjust the rear for you. But I definitely will say that that's one massive improvement they have made into the second row onto the new Camrys, is that they've definitely catered it more to people actually being in the rear seats for a long duration of time as well, because someone could sit back here for 10 minutes, no problem. But if you're taking this, especially as a hybrid, so it's great on gas, you probably take this for a nice long road trip, whether that's to the cottage, being in a vehicle that definitely has more, I don't want to say amenities, but I would say features catered to everyone in the vehicle. Obviously, driver has their own, passenger has their own, and the rear passengers have their own. I think that's a really, really good touch, and it's the way that most manufacturers are going onto their newer vehicles. So I think that's a massive improvement Toyota has made, and I'm really, really happy that now onto the 2025s, you definitely have a lot more features for everyone in the vehicle. All right, guys, now let's talk about powertrain and differences with fuel economy. On a 2016 Camry XLE hybrid, you'd be getting a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder paired with 1 electric motor. Output's about 200 horsepower combined. Onto a new 2025, however, a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder with 2 electric motors, making about 232 horsepower. So a little bit more engine displacement, but actually a little bit more power, which is very, very great. Now, fuel efficiency wise, Toyota is still improving. On a 2016, you'd be averaging about 5.9 liters per 100, which is still very, very great. But onto the new 2025s, you'll be getting about 5.6 liters per 100. So obviously Toyota is still improving on the fuel efficiency side, and both vehicles would obviously suit you very, very well. But the new 2025s are just a little bit ahead of the game versus the outgoing model. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in and checking out our 2016 versus a 2025 2025 Toyota Camry hybrid review. My name is Aiden with Upper James Toyota. Please do not forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of our Toyota related content down the road, and we'll see you guys in the next video.